Hi, guys. Welcome to weekly travel updates. I hope that all is well in your world. We are having some warm weather in North Carolina. Warm being last week in the middle of the week, it was down into the teens and we barely got above freezing. So today we were at 42, I think. And tomorrow's supposed to be warmer. I talked to Trey the other day on Saturday, and he had just sent me a photo one morning headed to work, and it said 7:02, and it was 6 degrees. Of course, he's in the North Carolina mountains, so a little bit colder than here. Tonight I have lots to talk about. I'm going to tell you the do's and don'ts for traveling this year. Lots is changing and lots more is going to change. I'm going to share some of that with you. And then I'm going to share the 12 safest countries to travel to in 2025 and why they're the safest. Then I have just a slew of travel news, like just today, late this afternoon, after I'd already posted this, I got an email, and it said that now there is no X gender on passports being not applied for, but being approved. It's male or female only. No X gender applications will be processed. How about that? I thought that was pretty big news. And then later today, 2 hours ago, President Trump took us out of the WHO, the World Health Organization. Now, I saw a news brief, so I'll follow up on this, but that's huge because if you think about what all WHO controlled for us and much of the world during the pandemic, that's a bold step. Okay, I brought you up to date with President Trump, and I want to tell you, before I get into tonight's headlines, another news story today was that Miami-Dade County police officer was arrested after attempting to board a cruise ship this weekend. I don't know how they do this, but now with technology, they can see much of what is in your suitcases. It looks much more like an ultrasound, and they arrested him because he had narcotics enough to sell, and they thought it was an excessive amount, and they arrested him. Whew, that's tough duty too. Okay, let me tell you about the things that are changing, the do's. All right, do continue to use the 311 rule when carrying liquids on board flights. 311 stands for 3.6 ounces of any liquid in a 1 quart size bag and 1 bag per person. Those things have not changed. It may change, and in Raleigh-Durham, you're not asked to bring that bag out. In Greensboro, you are. So look at your specific departure city. And if you are one of those people who search for the low fares and you're combining carriers, say you're flying Delta from here to Chicago, and from Chicago to Seattle, you're flying, I don't know, JetBlue. You have to gather your luggage when you get to Chicago and go back in as if you were walking into the airport in Chicago, go back through security, everything, screening, TSA screening, etc. it's not really a prudent use of your time. So before you buy those super good fares, reach out to a travel professional. Many of them do not charge fees. Some of them do. You can always email me. I put my email down here at the bottom. While I am working with my current clientele and referrals and our group trips, I will try to answer you one way or another. It is quite busy. It's the new year. There's sales going on and all kinds of things. However, in the midst of this, there are lots of new changes that are taking place. Like May is our deadline. We're going to have the real ID if you're going to fly domestically. There are some ways around that. I'll get into it later, but part of it is that you could travel with the passport instead. Another way to look at it is, I'm sorry, I lost my place. Well, we are just going to go back. All right. Some of the changes that are going to take place are basically I know where I was at. I was at the Real ID. So you won't have to have a Real ID if you have a passport. You're able to travel with the passport. But a Real ID has got a star in the upper right-hand corner. Look on yours, see if it does. If it doesn't, now's the time to go get it. It's not quickly processed, sometimes up to 3 weeks. It's going to be here before we know it. So think about that going forward. Other changes are to make positively sure that you have your documents in place. Documents, I mean your passport, visas, electronic visas. If you are just changing in London to go on a cruise in Rome, you now have to have a UK ETA, electronic travel authorization. They're only about $10. You can go right to the government.uk website and do it yourself. There are many services out there that charge you, I saw, up to $65 per person. That's crazy. Don't do that. When I still had an automated system, airline system, I could do them with just a push of a button, and it would give me back a ETA number for Australia and New Zealand specifically. Anyway, they're going to be available. They're going to be required. There's not a specific date yet as to implementation. Then if you're going outside of the UK, you're going to have an ETIA, which is an electronic travel information authorization. And that is going to let you go to many other countries throughout Europe that are outside of the UK. This has been long coming. Now they're just going to implement it. I really don't see it happening until mid-year, but certainly for these fall Christmas markets, go on and get everything in place. Okay. Even Canada is requiring an electronic travel visa this year. So if you're going across the border, don't get up to the border and be disappointed. You need to have those in advance. Okay. Do keep track as travel delays happen. Do keep track, because this year the DOT has a new rule, and it changed Monday, that said that you get a refund if your flight is delayed more than 3 hours, a cash refund. No longer will you have to get on the phone with the customer service rep, write long emails, fill out all these forms. It is supposed to be standard. I haven't seen it in action yet, but that's one of the promises. If your baggage is delayed more than 12 hours, you should be getting back your baggage fees that you paid. And for international flights, it's going to be for baggage delayed more than 15 hours. Now, one way to offset that is Apple AirTags can now be sent directly to your airline, and they will in turn also track your bags through the AirTag. Delta, I know, is doing it, United and American for certain. And I think Southwest was on the list to come on board sometime later in the year. How about that? I don't have any AirTags, but it might be worth investing in it if I did. I mean, if I have more domestic travel. With the Real ID, I just saw one more note. With the Real ID, if you have a military ID, you don't have to have the Real ID. Or if you have global entry, you don't have to have the Real ID because you've already gone through the steps of verifying who you are. And in order to get the Real ID, you need to go to your DMV and you need to take your birth certificate, social security card, and 2 documents with your physical address on it to validate that you are living in the state of which you are applying for. And the process can take up to 3 weeks. Okay. Size, I gave you guys some incorrect information. I said last week that the carry-on rules were going to be unified. And while it has been talked about, it is not going to happen. It's not going to happen this year, for sure not this year. And so I apologize upfront for giving you incorrect information. I did want to review our policies right now as we stand. Carry-ons should be 22 inches tall, 14 inches wide, and 9 inches deep. And currently there is no weight restriction, but that could change. There have been some stories like a Frontier agent did try to force some carry-on baggage that was supposed to be carry-on into their little, those little kiosk things that they have as you board the plane, where it says your backpack should fit in this. And if it didn't fit in there, they were charging them. But that quickly stopped. But that's part of the rumor, one of the reasons that those rumors got started. Some of the things that I am not going to cover that right now. Some of the ways in 2025 that you can save money, particularly on cruises, because cruising is still probably the biggest bang for your buck. Look, number one, at repositioning cruises, like when it takes off in Los Angeles and it ends in Miami. That's a repositioning cruise. There's a 14-day itinerary that I really like that's going through the Panama Canal. That is a repositioning cruise. Another way to do it is to look for promotions on your favorite itinerary, or ask your favorite travel agent, hey, keep your eye out for this deal. Oftentimes with repositioning sailings, they give extra perks because they're just trying to get the ship back to where their next season starts at, i.e. that Los Angeles back to Miami. It's getting back to Miami for the fall and winter months. Another way to do it is when they do 2 for 1 on the airfare. Look at that, because, on Norwegian Cruise Line, when they are doing 2 for 1 on airfare and it's on the Pride of America out of Hawaii, well, that's worth $1,100 easy. And then look for promotions that, like many right now, have 75% off second guests. Celebrity has that. They have it through the end of January. Or they'll have solo guests get 20% off. Or solo guests pay only 20% additional. Those kind of perks are what will save you money. Sign up for their newsletters. Look online. Go like them on Facebook. Oftentimes you will see promotions on Facebook. They announce it on Facebook as quickly as they announce it to the preferred agents. And flash sales. We get flash sales. So if I know you're looking for a Galapagos cruise and I see a flash sale, I would just forward that on to you. So flash sales, usually only agency. And then group cruises. How can you save money? Nobody could touch our price on our January sailing because we booked it a year ago and the price only increased and increased and increased and increased. It will likely be the same for next January. We have it at a really good price right now. If you book in now and put a $500 deposit, then you're guaranteed that price. And it's refundable up until final payment, which is not until November. Then look for bundled fares. Now, this goes for all types of travel. If you're flying and staying in a hotel, you need to bundle that. You're going to get a discount on the air as well as the hotel costs. And now that the cruise lines have access to airfare, they're doing air, one night pre-hotel, the cruise, and all of the incidentals that you need to add, all under one roof. The only time I like to do that is when there's bad weather, because if there's a threat of hurricanes or winter weather, then quite frankly, the airlines don't care whether you're going on a cruise or not. If your flight says you're going from here to Fort Lauderdale and you don't make it, many times you're going to lose the value of that ticket. So if there is something going on that's going to interrupt that cruise schedule, then the cruise line's air would take that into account and adjust your air accordingly. Okay. Another way to save money is casino rates. Now, I'll help you with it. I don't book it. I think we make $10 if I book you a casino rate. The last one I did was on Carnival for a friend of mine. And the casino rate was tremendous. Like a 5-day sailing, then out of Charleston, 5 days on Carnival, and the casino rate was like $199. And they cover port taxes and everything. So really good deals if you qualify for that sort of thing. And another way to do it we're kind of dialing back the clock and going back to some more last minute cruising. There's some last minute deals now that you used to never see because they said, we're not going to undercut our own deals, but 3 weeks prior to departures, if you have availability, you really can still get a reasonable airfare with at least 3 weeks notice. So 3 weeks in advance, if there's space available on that ship, they're going to discount it. So if you can travel like that, hey, let me know. I'll put you on my list. Okay, then let's go to the 12 safest countries. And they are listed in order. The 12 safest countries, number 1 being Iceland. Iceland has been on the list in the top 10 for 14 years in a row. So Iceland has it. It's because they have low crime rate, their police officers don't even carry guns. So, and they tout that they have a very strong social scene. There's not like first class and second class in Iceland. It's respect all around. I think that's great. Number 2 was New Zealand. Now, I love New Zealand. I would go back there in a heartbeat if it didn't take so long to get there. New Zealand is peaceful, serene, few travelers. Even when you're at touristy spots, you're not going to see thousands. You're going to see hundreds at best. And next would be Portugal. Portugal, it combines safety as well as rich culture. Now, Portugal's been on the hot list for a couple years, and it's staying there right now, particularly getting the vote of being safe. And next, we're going to look at Denmark. They have high taxes, income taxes, and they tout that they are high in safety features, travel safety specifically. Number 5, Slovenia. Slovenia is peaceful. It's a peaceful country with beauty as their draw. Again, Slovenia, not a lot of tourists, not nearly like what you're going to see in major cities, but that serene, that peacefulness is what many of us are now searching for. They've done all the big cities. Now it's time for something else. Next, you will find Austria. Now, Austria has strong political stability, the low crime rates, but higher prices, higher than many other European countries that are neighboring countries. And they moved up one spot. They were number 7. Now they're number 6. Next, you'll find Switzerland. And Switzerland offers safe and stable environments with excellent public services. So Switzerland has always been a very stable economy, stable politically, and you didn't just see the riffraff. It's always been clean. When I was there many years ago, we went all over Switzerland, and I was very impressed. I will go back. Next one is number 8, Finland. Because it has a high level of safety and strong social support, again, without classes or noticeable classes in their society. That's why they are being voted number 8. Number 9, and I was kind of surprised, was Canada. Now, let me tell you, we have nonstop flights out of Raleigh. There's about 4 nonstop Canadian cities you can go to. And it's friendly, clean, safe, and has diverse culture. You know, I recently proposed a honeymoon couple. They really had their hearts set on Europe. They didn't really have the budget for Europe, but they did have the budget for Canada. And in areas of Canada, it looks very European. It looks like you're in the Netherlands. Other areas look very German-like. So if going across the pond is not your thing, but you still want to feel that kind of experience, reach out to me. I have some great ideas. Okay, next, strangely enough, is Singapore. So Singapore has extremely low crime rate, and they've been on here. They've been on this list for years as well. And it's most It is the safest of any Asian country short of Japan, and they're very, very close. Japan is just beneath them. They're going to be number 11. But Singapore is low crime rate. It is the most marketable Asian country out there. And and they have the best public services. So we did a trip for the Chamber of Commerce years ago to China. And boy, I could tell you some horror stories, but many of them included the toilets that were provided or that were just around the country. It didn't really matter where. People were not used to squatting over a hole. Let's put it like that. Okay, I will leave it there. Number 11 is Japan. And Japan is known for safety, cleanliness, and their biggest attribute is respect of others. This has been touted highly. And Japan's been on the list like many of these others. They've been on the list for years. They were at number 8 2 years ago. They're at number 11. And I really just think that that's just the Asian culture as a whole. And number 12 is the Czech Republic. I'm so glad that it made it because Prague is one of my favorite cities in the whole world. It is particularly good for ladies traveling and solo travelers. I'm surprised that it made it all the way down to number 12 because I might have given it a little higher mark, but likely it's because there are many boroughs and one borough may not be as safe as the central area. So that's kind of my take on the 12 safest countries. I noted safety from terrorism. I'm going to give you the top 5. The safest countries from terrorism. United Arab Emirates, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia. Just in case you wanted. I thought that was an interesting fact. Most popular and likely the best value is still cruising. So short of having to have these cruise documents and these new electronic visas for the UK and other home ports for Europe, that's still the best value. Let me tell you where are the best places to travel in March? Because I've been asked this a few times this week. It's the dry season in Costa Rica. So if you want warm beaches and that Caribbean feel, Costa Rica is great value and it's their dry season. Second would be Sedona, Arizona. Now's the time. They've gotten over the desert winter. March starts to break into their springtime, peak season for golfers. So Sedona's big on the list. And if you want to go international, look at Naples, Italy. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's an off season, but it's in the southern part of Italy, so much warmer than other parts of Italy and much more to what we're wanting for our spring breaks. I hope that helps out. Did you see that today there was a 3.9 earthquake in Maine? They felt it from Boston to Connecticut. That's huge. It's maybe because there's granite rock more on the East Coast versus the West Coast. They don't deal with granite. It's more sand and limestone. Much like, did you see that condo that just crashed down in Miami this past week? I'm not really sure the cause of it, except for underwater potential. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for hanging out tonight. Thanks for sticking with me. I apologize it was so long. I will try to do a better job, maybe consolidating, not so much in one show. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I appreciate you for watching. Thanks. Ciao, guys.